special video. At least it feels special for me, since I'm maybe the most nervous that I've been since I first started bicycling into Mexico, into the northern Mexico. And that's because today I will be crossing the border into Nicaragua. So up until a few months ago, Nicaragua was considered the safest country in Central America. That's not really the case anymore, or at least temporarily right now. The country is kind of in a state of, again, this is all from what I've heard. You know, I haven't even been there yet, so I'm not the official source. But from what I'm hearing, the country is in a state of civil unrest because, again, from what I've heard, the government kind of isn't paying out pensions for government workers and maybe even other workers that are owed pensions. And because of that, there have been protests that have turned violent and stuff like that. And there are numerous blockades that happen on a regular basis, so people blocking the roads, wearing masks and with weapons and stuff like that. From what I understand, the blockades are rarely lead to any violence. They're more just for creating awareness of the situation. So I mean, I should be okay. You know, the people that are, you know, unhappy with the government, not necessarily unhappy with tourists who bring money into the country. So everything should be okay, but we might see some interesting stuff. So today I'm doing 75 kilometers, heading to Somoto, where apparently there's a very cool canyon that I plan to check out tomorrow. And yeah, I'm a little bit a little sad that I didn't spend more time in Honduras. It's a really beautiful country, as you can see, but I have a feeling I'll be back, so I'm going to try to really enjoy the last of the stretch here. So the last month in El Salvador, I must have checked at least 15 shops all across the country looking for a spare inner tube, and no shop had ones in my size. So I've been riding a while without a spare inner tube, and sure enough, I get a flat. So I believe I have a patch kit that I can use. I've successfully patched a tire before, but it's kind of a lengthy process, and there's no guarantees that it's going to hold. And I started kind of late today. I left at 10, and a bit of a long day, 75 kilometers, including a border crossing. So I'm definitely not psyched about this, but nothing I can do but put my head down and just get to fixing. So as I was setting my bike up to fix the flat, I noticed that the air wasn't coming out, more air wasn't coming out at a significant pace. So I tried to just put in more air so that I could maybe get to somewhere where I could get a bucket of water and find the small hole, because clearly it was not like a full-on blowout. It would be a small hole that'd be hard to find without water, but it actually seems to be holding pretty decently. So I'm going to keep riding for a while and evaluate the situation from there. So pretty much right after I stopped talking, the tire started getting noticeably flatter. So seems to be some people here with buckets, so I'm gonna try to identify the hole without it, and then might call for some assistance. I found the hole thanks to some water. Gracias. So should be back on the road pretty soon. So the air isn't holding. Always check your patchwork, kids. Feeling all kinds of bad emotions about that, but what else can you do but try again? So after another hour of trying to fix my patch, I thought I had it fixed. Turns out it wasn't fixed, but it's a slow leak, so I'm able to do a few clicks before I have to pump it back up. So maybe I'll make it, maybe I won't. It's after 4 o'clock, so it's definitely going to be a race before darkness. At least it's really beautiful out here. Alright, so I found a place at Hotel Shalom in San Marcos de Colon, which is the border town on the Honduran side. I decided to not go across the border because I'd read that this border is not heavily trafficked, so it closes early, which would mean that I would have to cross it illegally, go to my destination, and then come back to get my passport stamped and everything and become legal in the morning. So it's kind of counterproductive, and I'd be riding in the dark around the border area, which isn't the smartest thing to do. So yeah, so I'm gonna get a bite to eat. That's how most of my conversations in Spanish go. Day 2. Things could be better. So I had another friend, traveler, who had mentioned something about a form to get in the country, and I assumed it was some kind of thing you could do at the border, or like a waiver saying that you recognize it's dangerous or something, but it's actually a form you have to send to the government and receive, and they have to review, and then they send you back a response. So I went to do that this morning at a cyber cafe. They sent out the form, but then I spoke to someone who said that they had gone recently without it and they let them in. So I decided to give it a shot and bike 15 kilometers to the border, and I was denied entry. So now I'm biking back to San Marcos, and hopefully it won't be too long until I get a response. It's usually a few days or something, but it could be up to a week. So hoping it's the former and not the latter. But maybe there'll be some cool stuff to do around here. Worst places to be stuck. Four days later. So I've been going back to the internet cafe every morning to see if I've received the response from the Nicaraguan government in terms of if I can enter the country or not, and still no response, which is giving me a little bit of anxiety, but I'm still within the normal time frame of an expected response. But I'm already starting to kind of think about alternatives if I were to be denied entry into Nicaragua. But I'm not going to talk on that yet because they're just kind of early thoughts. So for now, still sticking to the plan that I'll be heading into Nicaragua. But it hasn't been all bad. This town, actually, San Marcos de Colon, is a great place to be stuck. Things are relatively inexpensive, and I've really enjoyed the town. It has amazing views of the Honduran mountains. Hello. And I've really enjoyed exploring outside of the town. So here, this is like the mountain that's immediately kind of above the town, and I found these kind of like ruins or something. They seem to be quite old. I have no idea how old because it's not like an officially designated tourist thing or anything, but yeah, pretty interesting stuff. So I'm going to be doing a separate video of me checking out San Marcos de Colon. So if I find anything out, it will be I'll explain it in that video. Finally, some good news. This morning I went back to the cyber cafe where I go to check if I received the response from the Nicaraguan government, and sure enough, I got accepted for entry. It couldn't have come at a better time because as much as I love San Marcos de Colon, I was starting to get a kind of cabin fever type feel of staying in that little hotel room, so it felt really good to get that document. But then when I inspected it, it seemed to say that I was entering today and then leaving tomorrow, which obviously that's not going to happen. So a little anxious about that. Also, the document said that I needed a yellow fever vaccination proof. So I'm also anxious about that. I don't know. So I'm kind of not 100% sure I'm going to get accepted again after biking another 15 kilometers to the border, but we shall see. And with that, I'm into Nicaragua. Despite there being no line, it's a very long border crossing. Lots of questions, more forms. They looked through all my bags, asked me the same questions again. So it seems like they're not super excited to have people come in their country right now. At least that's the impression I got from them. But maybe it was all normal. But I kind of think not, because Nicaragua is part of CA4, so all the other borders have been like really breezy. It's supposed to be like kind of open, semi-open borders. But yeah, got that done. Managed to find a money exchanger, which usually when you get near the border they just run to you like vultures, but this time I had to hunt for them, or at least for the one guy. So I got some Cordoba, which is good, which can last me a few days until I need to find an ATM, which is good. And they you know, asked me if, you know, you read the news, you know what's going on in Nicaragua, and I said yes. And they said you're going to research, so you research, you know, which roads are safe and everything, which I kind of tried to, but I mean, apparently the roadblocks are, you know, they're really random. They're going to be here one day and there the other day, so you can't really plan ahead of time for that. It's going to happen when it happens. And yeah, I'm really excited to be in Nicaragua, despite the fact that last night I was doing some more research. I made the mistake of doing that right before going to bed. Never a good idea, especially if the research isn't positive, which it wasn't. It doesn't seem like the situation in Nicaragua is getting any better, but I'm still feeling fairly confident that I won't be targeted for violence, because it seems like most of the horror stories you hear are from people protesting the government and, you know, big cities and big squares and stuff like that, which, you know, it's still bad, but I don't think I'll be participating in any protests. And as far as the roadblocks, I haven't really heard of people being attacked at roadblocks. I did hear about, you know, occasionally they might ask for some money or something, but that seems to be the worst case scenario that I've heard of. So feeling pretty good, and I prefer the idea of doing that, honestly, going through a potentially dangerous country, than figuring out how to book a decently priced flight, which I looked into, and it wasn't cheap, and putting all my taking apart my bike, finding a bike box, figuring out if I can get that on the plane in Spanish, and doing all that. So that kind of idea gives me more anxiety than going through Nicaragua. So maybe that's not rational, but it is what it is. Nombre?
Franklin.
Hola, Franklin.
Hola.
So I made it to about the Somoto Canyon, where I want to go today. Since it was fairly early enough in the day, I decided to take a tour to go see the canyon. Should be pretty cool.
Yep.
Really looks like it's from a movie or something. I feel like I'm hunting for the lost tomb. So that was a pretty awesome ending to the day. That started off a little anxious for me, but that was really amazing. That really turned things around. Yeah, I could have maybe visited the canyon to a lesser degree without the tour, but at the time that I was there, I would have had to probably wait and take another day to do it on my own, because yeah, so doing it with the tour allowed me to do it right there and then and there, and it was 2 in the afternoon, so made sense, and I have no regrets. It was really awesome. I had a really good tour guide all together for the tour and the room. I bargained down to $20 US, so not too bad at all. And yeah, so great start to Nicaragua. Good early morning, because today's going to be a big day. India. Planning to head to Esteli, which in itself is 82 kilometers of a ride. But before that, I plan to go check out the town of Somoto. Spending a little bit more time in Somoto than I planned, but it was positive. I got some decently priced, I guess, for this part of the world sunscreen. I think it's expensive because no one uses it. And also I saw a service center for Claro, the cell phone provider, or cell phone service provider, and couldn't pass up that opportunity because stores will sell you like minutes and data for phones. When it comes to actually activating a chip on a phone, they usually don't know how to do it, or they'll say they know how and then it doesn't work out somehow. So I got that done. So I got my cell phone ready, and there was an ATM right next to it, so I was able to get out some cash with my debit card. So because lately I haven't been able to do that, so I've been using my credit card, which is more expensive. So I decided to take out more cash than I normally would. So hopefully if I get robbed, they'll believe me when I say that the cash in my wallet is everything I have. That leak I had in my inner tube, still there, but it's still a slow leak, so hopefully it remains like that. It's slow to the point where I can like bicycle to my destination pretty much without having to pump it up, at least close to that. I might need a quick pump before finishing in Esteli today. So Esteli, it's supposed to be a really nice town, at least that's what the locals here tell me. But the woman who owned the hotel that I stayed at in San Marcos in Honduras was telling me that Esteli was dangerous and not to go. But yeah, so regarding the inner tube, so I figured Leon, which was touted as kind of the most modern city in Nicaragua, I looked for a bike shop online. I found one. I sent them a message, the one that I thought was most likely to have an inner tube my size, but unfortunately they didn't have it. Then I asked them if they could order one, and kind of strangely they told me that they were not ordering anymore because they were closing the shop because of the situation in Nicaragua. which was kind of strange to hear because I had heard that Leon was completely fine. So I don't know what's up with that, but yeah, so another reason to go to Esteli is that there's almost surely going to be a few bike shops there. Probably not good odds of finding an inner tube of my size, but at this point I kind of have to exhaust all options here. Hola! Oh, rude. I'm still on CA1, the Pan American Highway. Feels like home. Nothing but beautiful so far. Amor en Nicaragua. Just offered my first bottle of water, declined because I have some. People in general have been super nice and things seem muy tranquilo, at least in this part of the country right now. I visited the bike shops in town. I found an inner tube that wasn't my size, but at least had the right type of valve so I could fit on my tires. So for now I'm gonna keep using my leaky inner tube and just pump it up every morning. And yeah, it's been a really anxious but exciting journey here to Esteli. Also, I'm not trying to promote adrenaline junkie type behavior, but the kind of mild threat of danger definitely heightened things for me. So it made me really enjoy being in Nicaragua that much more. And another fun perk is that if you're staying in hostels in a country that's currently in civil unrest, you're almost surely going to have the room to yourself. At my hostel, I just signed up for a tour to see the Miraflor forest. So I'm pretty excited about that tomorrow. So that's an upcoming video. Make sure to not miss it. I think that's going to be pretty awesome. And also look out for the full Somoto Canyon video, which will be coming out next after this one, and then the Miraflor one after that. If you're new to this channel, welcome. Put your feet up. Everyone's friends here. There's going to be a lot more content, videos coming up of me bicycle touring in Nicaragua and Central America. That's because I'm on my first bicycle tour from Canada to Argentina. So if you'd like to see everywhere that I've been on my tour, you can check out my website, followthehumoftheearth.com, where there's an interactive map where you can click on the different places I've been and see my blog posts and videos. And yeah, and if you'd like to follow my continuing adventures, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking on the red button below. And that does it. Hope you enjoyed. Have a good one.